Welcome to the Sushi Swap Onsen AMA, where we bring on projects that have partnered through the Onsen program and give them a platform to reach a larger audience. Today we're here with Ross, Conrad, Lexi, and Euclid from DeversiFi. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I'll just get started here with a few questions for you guys and give a bit of an intro, and then we can open it up to the audience. So anybody in the audience here, if you've got questions, once we go through here a little bit, we'll get you to raise your hand at the bottom. There's a little hand button. Hit that. That'll get you request to speak, and then we can bring you up on stage and you can ask your questions. If you choose, you can also use the AMA text questions channel. Popes will come as they, I'm hoping this time around, the popes are going to be delivered with the bot, but if it doesn't work, if some of you might get them, it might blow up, but let's, if it doesn't work, we've got logs of everybody that's here, so if you've been in the room for 10 minutes, we'll get you a pope later on. So please and thank you, try and keep the Pope questions to a minimum, if not zero, in the AMA text questions until we're finished up, and then we can, if there's any issues, I'll be happy to answer any of that. So please keep the Pope chatter out of, no, guys. Cartel, no. Keep all that to a minimum, and we'll deal with it afterwards. We want to keep this clear so that people can ask questions for DeversiFi and everything that's going on there. So anyways, first, again, thank you so much for joining us here. It's nice to see a full stack from a team showing up here for you. That's amazing. So thanks. If you don't mind, just kind of introduce yourselves, give us a quick little background about you and your involved, or I guess like how you're involved with DeversiFi.
Yeah, sure, can dive in. So I'm Ross, one of the co-founders of DeversiFi. DeversiFi launched about 12 months ago. We'll come into that later, but my background has been in trading and finance, and then I worked at Bitfinex and FNX before joining DeversiFi.
Nice.
Alrighty, I'll go next. Hello everyone, my name's Conrad. I'm the CTO here at DeversiFi. I look after the roadmap, strategy, and obviously delivering on all these cool features that we have and have coming up. My background is in development. Spent most of the last 15 or so years writing, building, hacking things. A variety of companies from sort of centralized traditional finance like Thomson Reuters, right the way through the crypto space where I find myself now.
Nice, thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Lexi. I'm head of marketing at DeversiFi. So I guess kind of focusing on trying to get as many of you across to enjoy the wonders that DeFi has to offer, as well as also building the kind of profile of our brand and our community. Background from me, I'm actually relatively new into the crypto space. I spent a couple of years working kind of sports and charity marketing, but kind of have come across into the crypto space, and I'm loving it so far. So I'm really excited to be here and be talking to you guys.
Hi everyone, I'm Euclid. I got into the crypto space about 6 years ago whilst at college. A friend introduced me to Bitcoin, and it's been a rabbit hole ever since. Never managed to get out, but it's a lot of fun. I'm here to help DeversiFi with their community and social media management, and yes, good looking forward to you all.
Awesome, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, well, I guess with DeversiFi, like how did it come to fruition? You mentioned like 12 months ago it kind of started, and how did it all come about? Where did this, if you don't mind just kind of expanding on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like a lot of people, we're in the space for a few years now and saw that there was a better way to do things than the large centralized exchanges that were around 4 or 5 years ago. So we wanted to sort of tackle the decentralized exchange case in a different way. So our mission is to make DeFi easy for everyone. And to do that, we are becoming your control center on layer 2. What that means is you can do all of the fun stuff that you do in DeFi at the moment, such as swapping, trading, lending, yield farming, investing. But instead of doing that on layer 1 Ethereum, which can be quite expensive because it can become very congested and you pay a lot of gas fees, once you deposit your funds to DeversiFi, which is what's known as a layer 2 exchange, then everything that you do after that, you don't have to pay any gas, but you still inherit all of the security of the underlying Ethereum blockchain. So that was our that's that mission that we set out to do. Before last year, really, there was no real way of doing this. Everyone was trading on centralized exchanges or slow and clunky on-chain order book exchanges, and we've really tried to create the best of all worlds, really. So bringing you fast-moving, advanced order books that you might be used to on something like Bitfinex or Binance, and then right the way through, we'll be launching our AMMs and some cool yield products as well.
Nice.
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, I've been here for about a year and a half with DeversiFi, and I mean, I guess I joined at the really exciting time when we were going from being not really L1 participant, but we were a participant without a really defined scaling approach and solution, to the point where we started partnering with Starkware and actually building on top of StarkX, and actually being able to scale to the point where the sorts of transactions that we were aspiring to being able to put through actually seemed achievable. So that's something that we've done in the last year or so, been stable for quite a while now, and rather than just building something which might be, say, an EVM compatible version of ourselves in L2, we've actually built a whole environment, which is, I suppose, on the back end, it's more typical of what you'd find in a centralized exchange, in the fact that we have order books, we have really fast execution times, really deep liquidity, but we brought that to the DeFi space. So it's really gratifying to see that all live and seeing everybody coming on board and seeing the feedback that we're getting from people who are using us. And yeah, we very much feel that the offering we have kind of sells itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of moving into that, like when you're looking at your audience that you're looking to attract here, I mean, it's kind of essentially everyone, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting
one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ross, go right ahead.
Yeah, after you, go for it.
Getting overexcited here. So yeah, it's an interesting one, because we've looked at everybody in the space, from the big sort of participants that are looking for the centralized experience, but perhaps wanting a bit more security, wanting self-custody, right the way through to more recently the wider community. I mean, Ross said about ease of use, and that's really been one of our core sort of pillars. Obviously, anything on L1, there's a greater flexibility deploying a smart contract, but actually, with the way gas costs have been recently, and the price of Ethereum, I mean, that's great if you're a bag holder, for the long run. But if you actually want to get involved in some of these projects, the economic pressure valve, I suppose, of that is gas fees scaling with utilization. I mean, that's not good news for anyone who actually wants to participate in some of these amazing things that are being built. So very much we see ourselves as, particularly now, targeting as many people as possible, particularly ones who may not be whales, may not have a large holding, and for whom paying gas costs associated with sort of swap or aping into various sort of opportunities, you don't want to be in a position where you have to forego 1, 2, 3 months worth of yield in order to just use something. So we're very much looking to democratize access to the DeFi space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. Okay. Yeah. So let's maybe start working into how your platform works. Like, so when you're talking about like we need to make a deposit right out of the gate with to get into your platform. So, and this kind of ties in with one of the questions that are coming from Zafalia. I need to figure out how to say your name properly. But are you able to deposit from an exchange, or has it got to be through Ethereum, or kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, so at the moment, the main way that people delegate or deposit their funds onto the platform is from L1. We are working at the moment on bridges from a variety of sort of side chains. We're looking to go live with our first, literally in the next couple of days, hoping to have a big announcement. Lexi's been beavering away, working on some comms for that. But yeah, we'll be looking to go live with Polygon.
Nice.
Polygon chain in the next literally couple of days, and many more to come afterwards.
Cool. Yeah, and then so with that though, like, okay, there, that kind of answers there. I guess it's not directly from an exchange, which is fine. So if you were, just touching on that, you'd have to, export out to your wallet, and then from your wallet, and that way you've got, we're dealing with all the custody and everything too. So, yeah, cool. Then
Exactly.
So that's kind of
sorry. After you, Tangle.
Yeah, sure. I was just gonna say, like, that's kind of how this is different from like the centralized or the CeFi experience. Because I think when I look at your platform, it's very similar to what people are expecting with, or what they're familiar with the CeFi experience. But when you're depositing into a CeFi, or it's funny how that's become a keyword, a CeFi. But when you're depositing there, kind of how that's different from how we're depositing with DeversiFi.
Exactly. I can attempt to do this question justice, but Conrad might have to step in. So DeversiFi is a layer 2 exchange, which is what's known as a ZK rollup exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, for the audience members that might be familiar with various layer 2 concepts, there's two big ways of doing things, two broad groups: optimistic rollup and ZK rollup. DeversiFi is in that ZK rollup camp, which might not mean a lot to a lot of people, but we'll go into it. The idea is you deposit your funds to a smart contract. We call it like a treasury smart contract. And what you're doing is you're depositing your funds essentially to a vault, which is tied to your Ethereum address.
Okay.
And that vault has got certain constraints and permissions, which you can only, we as an exchange, as DeversiFi, can only do certain things like swapping tokens if you give us permission using your Ethereum key. So every time you want to do a swap or a trade or a transfer or something on DeversiFi, and the funds in that smart contract need to move, you sign it using your wallet. So we have got zero access to any of your funds unless you give us permission. And that's how it works. So once you've got your funds on DeversiFi or in the smart contract, then everything can happen essentially off chain. And there's some fancy cryptography which happens, which means that, again, when trades and transfers happen, they all get recorded and pushed to the blockchain, the layer 1 blockchain, periodically, like once every 24 hours or so. But it means that all of that trading and activity that goes on DeversiFi, you don't have to pay gas for, and it's all completely trustless.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, so then with maybe let's just talk about the L2 a little bit here. So, with ZK, with the ZK rollup, it's Validium? Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Validium, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible for me because I have a chemistry background, so every time I read that, I just see vanadium. But I've said that once. People are giving me lots of blank looks.
Okay. So yeah, with that, like, how is that? People have heard of, like you were saying, Optimism and Arbitrum, and of course, for a lot of people, they're familiar with, when they hear L2, they think of Polygon or a variety of other ones that we've got here. But XDive, Phantom, Harmony now also as well going on here. But obviously those are chains versus the roll-up aspect of it. But if you don't mind, just maybe sharing a little bit about Validium. Sorry, which one is
it? the big V.
Big V,
so Validium is, I guess, just kind of like a ZK rollup. So it's within that ZK rollup family. What it means is it's the same sort of cryptography, but some of the data is held off chain. So we don't publish all of the data to the underlying blockchain. And what that means in practicality for users is that all of your activity that happens on DeversiFi after you've deposited is completely private.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you're doing, whether it be swapping, aping, sending, no one can see what you're doing on DeversiFi, which is what people might be more used to if they use a centralized exchange like Binance.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you privacy. It means people can't reverse engineer your strategies. People don't know what you're doing after you've deposited. So some people find that really, really valuable. And it also means, so there's a couple of other reasons why we went down that route. And one is the speed at which we can, the amount of transactions that we can actually cope with. So eventually in the future, when hopefully DeversiFi is a huge exchange and loads of people are doing lots of activity on DeversiFi, we could be doing anything up to 9,000 plus transactions per second.
Nice.
Whereas if you go a pure ZK rollup route, yes, there's a bit less in terms of the a bit more in terms of, a bit less in terms of trust assumptions, but there's not as many transactions that can be processed. So there's more batches that need to go on chain. So it's just, the Validium is just a much more high performance system for not a lot of compromise.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah.
There's just one other advantage, because it's impossible for others to see what transactions are actually going into a Validium. It's impossible to front run, so it means that actually generates quite a fair system overall.
Right. Yeah. With front running and MEV being kind of a hot topic these days, that is all kind of avoided in this ecosystem.
That's a really interesting point there, Conrad, actually, about the sequencing as well. So actually, there's no way to front run from any angle, really.
Yeah.
That is also true.
Yeah. Cool. So making the deposit and maybe or maybe not getting popes when you make a deposit, that could be something that we look at here. But also I want to mention, I've blown up now another pope bot. So anybody that is listening, we've got record of who got popes. There are about maybe 50 or 60 got sent out and delivered appropriately, and the rest of you will have to look at manual retrieval. And we've got we're coming up with some really cool systems for it. So I know that anybody that's looking for one from last week, we're kind of building a new system. So bear with us. We haven't forgot about you. I've got record of everything. So please, we'll keep you posted on that. So cool. So then with what about for like fees and whatnot for depositing, deposit fees, swap fees, and then we'll kind of get into trading here a little bit too.
Exactly. And something we mentioned earlier is we've been operating on mainnet now for over a year. So we've really been battle tested, and we've done a lot of optimization, which Conrad can go into in more detail. But we've really tried to make any interaction that you have with DeversiFi as cheap as possible. So when you deposit to the exchange, you're interacting with a smart contract that's a very lightweight smart contract. So for example, I think today when gas prices are 10 to 20 Gwei, you're paying something like $5 to deposit your funds to DeversiFi, whereas full interacting with another DeFi protocol might cost you a lot more. But once you've got your funds on DeversiFi, then you're just paying a small percentage fee, and that percentage fee for every trade or swap could be as low as 0%, or it could be as high as 0.2%. So it's very much what you'd be used to on a centralized exchange in terms of fees. So very, very cheap.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I was looking around. I think it cost me. It was less than $5 to deposit ETH, and I thought I saw like 13 cents or something for for trade fees and swap fees. So that's familiar and reasonable. So that's really cool.
Just one thing to add on the fees. I mean, the main advantage is because we have such deep liquidity on the books. So we have a couple of different options on the platform, either trading directly or swapping. Swapping is actually a convenience overlay on top of trading. So if we've got an existing market, let's say ETH, USDT, you can either trade, in which case you have published make and take rates depending upon your volume. But if you swap, which is, I guess, what a lot of people are familiar with, especially people coming into this space the first time, we support that as well. But because we have that deep liquidity behind the scenes, then there's very little to next to no slippage, which obviously that sort of keys in the final impact of using a platform. So more than just the fees that the operator takes.
Yeah. Okay. Would swapping be more within your ecosystem? Be kind of more familiar with like a market buy or a market sell in a sense.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And so we're liquidity. You kind of talked about that and where it's coming from. You were saying you're bringing it in from. You mentioned a few places. Maybe just reiterate those again.
Yeah. So one of the benefits of DeversiFi is that we aggregate liquidity from a couple of different sources. We've started out, because we're aiming to be this high-speed, high-performant exchange, we've started off actually trustlessly aggregating centralized exchange volume onto DeversiFi. So that's quite a lot there. But what that means is if you go to the DeversiFi order book, say, for example, you look at the wrapped Bitcoin USDT order book on DeversiFi, what you're seeing there is a combination of prices from centralized exchanges and DeversiFi native traders. So one of the big sources that we aggregate is Bitfinex. So when you go to that market, you're getting the full Bitfinex liquidity but on DeversiFi itself. So you never take any exposure to Bitfinex itself. That's all us using our zero profit market making service. But you get exactly the same liquidity, but in a trustless manner.
Okay. Yeah, cool. All right. So then with your trading aspect of the platform, with like, what are some of the pros and cons that you found with what you've got here, and just some of the I guess some of the features as well, and where you're at, and
Definitely. Pros are incredible liquidity, very low slippage for big pairs. So wrap Bitcoin, ETH USDT, for example, incredible liquidity, very low slippage. You could probably do a $500,000 trade and get virtually no slippage on those markets, which is incredible. Equally, at the other end of the scale, even if you've got a couple of dollars, you're getting amazing liquidity. But what we don't have is a really long tail of assets. So, a lot of the new pairs and the smaller pairs, we don't have those yet.
Right.
So what we want to do is launch our own AMM system on DeversiFi, which means that we can then bootstrap some liquidity for some of those smaller, more popular pairs where we can't aggregate liquidity from other sources.
Right.
So that's where we're moving to at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So and of course all of that then getting utilized within the L2. So there's just low fees with all that as well. So.
Exactly. So one of the really cool things about that is, we launch 10 AMM pairs, and they're some cool tokens. Anybody who uses DeversiFi, who's already got funds on DeversiFi or who deposits, they can then LP provide liquidity to those AMMs without paying any gas or any fees, which is really cool.
Yeah. Nice.
So it means that it's open to anyone that whether you've got $10 in your account or $500,000.
Yeah, neat. I've just also brought up Dan here as well.
Hey, thank you. Just wanted to drop in and say hi. I have to say this has been one of the most interesting AMAs that we've done. So thank you for moderating.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to mention as well here that we do have anybody in the audience that has questions, please raise your hand at the bottom. We can get you up on stage. You can ask questions, and we do have the AMA text questions as well. So any questions coming in, please bring those in that way. I think I'm trying to go through and answer what we've kind of got there.
Dan's only here so that he can get a Pope badge.
Get a Pope badge. Yes, of course. Pope farmers. Okay. I saw somebody mention here, is this something about, is this similar to DYDX?
Great question. So DYDX, for those of you that don't know, is a leverage trading platform. So they're order book based, similar to us, but they offer margin trading and derivatives trading in the form of perpetual contracts. They're also built on Starkware, which is the layer 2 technology that we use, but they're very much focused on leverage trading, whereas we're physical, so we're only tokens. So our aim is to give everyone access to swaps, trading, yield farming, and transfers for physical tokens. Everything you can do on DeFi layer 1, you'll be able to do on DeversiFi, whereas DYDX are focused more on the professional trader use case with leverage products. Yeah. But there could be some really cool tie-ups between the two products when Starkware launches something called StarkNet, which could mean for a lot more ease of transfer between the two products and the two apps, as well as all the other apps that are on the Starkware technology, such as Immutable X, which is an NFT trading protocol, and So Rare as well, which is another NFT trading protocol. There could be some really cool tie-ups here, and funds could be able to move a lot easier between the different apps.
Yeah, neat. Cool. So with, I guess like one of the other aspects you have with your platform is, hang on here, we've got a hand up. Oh, let's Azertup. Oh, geez. You got a question for us here, Azertup? Anyway, no, I guess not. I was going to ask about yield. I see that you've got a yield option in your platform as well.
Yep, the yield area of DeversiFi is our proof of concept. So what you see when you go there is the compound CUSDT market. It's this really cool concept called DeFi pooling, which means that anybody can essentially lend into compound from DeversiFi without paying gas, which is amazing because as we were saying earlier, on some peak gas days, you could be paying $200, $300, $400 to lend your tokens into compound, and that could be 3 months of yield. Therefore, what we allow you to do is we kind of group everybody together on DeversiFi and then do it all in batches. So you can access lots of cool yield farming opportunities in the future, starting with CUSDT now, but also going on to other things. So you'll be able to get yield on assets such as ETH and maybe some cooler things like vaults, so some higher risk strategies as well, but without paying any gas.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So yeah, you've got CUSDT right now for compound. Any plans for the future or things that you're looking at or anything you can kind of disclose there?
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, we're really, really keen to get some sort of staked ETH or ETH 2.0 asset on there as well, whether it be the basic staked ETH or something a bit more fancy.
Right.
We really want to get that on there as soon as possible.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, just want to make sure that, or let everybody know that we do have, if you got questions and you want to get up on stage here, just raise your hand. There's a little hand raise button at the bottom of this window. We can get you up on stage to ask questions and or through the AMA text questions as well, which I see we've got a few things coming in here, but yeah, please don't be afraid to reach out and utilize that. So yeah, so with your token, DVF, you want to just walk us through some of the tokenomics on that and your use cases and a bit of staking on all that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So DVF is the governance token of DeversiFi, and what that token lets you do is it means that you can govern aspects of the DeversiFi protocol and all of the treasury spending. So you can change parameters such as fees and the markets that will be listed on DeversiFi, but also going right down to you will be able to change the things like liquidity mining rewards for certain pairs on DeversiFi and also spend all of the funds that are within the treasury. I think I pretty much covered it, but if you want to go into any more details on the staking or governance side of it, then now would be a good time to go over it.
Yeah.
Oh, he might be on mute.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think a cool feature that eventually we're going to be looking into, especially with the AMMs, is the fact that people will be able to earn DVF through staking, liquidity staking, or on the platform. So it gives users even more opportunity or more reason to hold the token because they're going to be rewarded, and then it's a circle where they can then use those tokens to have a greater say in what they would like to vote to the governance mechanism.
Yeah, cool.
And delving into a little bit more of the governance, because it's something that we haven't really talked much about, but our whole ethos is making DeFi accessible to everyone. One of the problems facing projects when they have on-chain governance, again, is the low participation rates because of the high gas fees. So we'll be launching a primitive, which means that anybody can vote using their DVF tokens, whether they hold them on layer 1 or layer 2, and they won't have to pay any gas for that, which is really cool.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I see a question here about any plan for DeversiFi to be available in the US.
Tricky question. I guess we would love DeversiFi to be available in the US, and we've explored a couple of different ways of doing that. And essentially, there's two ways of doing it. One is a regulated route, where perhaps we ring fence part of DeversiFi or parts of DeversiFi liquidity, get some sort of license. We could go our own license or piggyback on somebody else and make it available that way. Or we completely decentralize a lot of the platform. Conrad's having a heart attack now behind the scenes, but it's something that we've talked about. But we could decentralize a lot more of the app, and with the Starkware move to Starknet as well, that also decentralizes more aspects of the platform, and then we could make it more open. But unfortunately, yeah, we've got to be careful because of the regulator in the US.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, so with with Sushi Swap right now, we've got the DVF token is on there with the Onsen reward program. So I was looking at that. It's around 21% or something like that last I looked. And I guess just like what for incentivized for people to incentivize for those pools and whatnot, and I guess like reasons for why they should be providing liquidity for that.
Definitely. Thank you for sorting that out for us so quickly. I think we managed to get on Onsen pretty much the same day that the DVF token sale distribution event finished.
Yeah.
One thing that's really cool about our Onsen rewards is that the liquidity that's deposited into that pool is actually owned 100% by the DVF community. So all of those rewards that are in that pool are going to the DVF treasury, which is amazing because those are long-term community funds. They're not held by the team or anything like that. But yeah, we'd really love for as many people as possible to stake into that pool, because the more liquidity that we have on layer 1, the more that we can propagate DeversiFi throughout DeFi. And Sushi Swap's one of the biggest stepping stones to doing that.
Yeah, awesome. And then I was just going back here to a question that was talking about draining the vault or something. Where was that? They were just saying like if if the vault was to get drained, did DFI or DVF holders get a share of what's left? I don't know how that would. If the vault got drained I don't know if that's even possible, or how could that be a thing if the vault got hacked.
So I guess, do you mean the vault is in the DeversiFi treasury vault, the actual deposit contract?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So we've been on mainnet now for over a year, and we've been battle testing that smart contract for well over a year, and we've had no issues. And it's probably one of the smart contracts that is, one of the closest looked at smart contracts, because the Starkware technology is used so widely now. Right. So the chances of anything happening to it, I would hope, are very, very small, and nothing's happened so far. We've also got a lot of our own treasury funds in there. So it's not something that we take lightly. But yeah, Conrad, maybe you could speak a little bit more as well of the mechanisms that are in place there.
Yeah, to clarify, it's not a single vault like a centralized exchange where it's an address that all funds go to, and then there's a database that sort of keeps track of users' balances. Every address has its own sort of vault representation, and there's no way to actually transfer between vaults without the corresponding signature from the owning address. So there are set rules by which the entire system has to work, and even if there was a malicious attempt to falsify a signature to transfer funds between a vault, drain or extract value from them, when it came to actually building the batch, which would then be submitted on chain, this wouldn't validate because there would be a mismatch, so the transaction would never go through. So above and beyond, obviously, the auditing and the battle testing of the StarkX system, actually, the only way to transfer would be with the user's participation or through a leaked private key, which is obviously a risk, a greater risk in this space. It's not something that's specific to us.
Okay. Yeah. Again, if any questions, please raise your hand. We can get you up on stage to ask questions, and or the AMA text questions channel. We've had a few come in there, so I appreciate that. But I don't know. Is there, I guess, like, what are some of your future plans here, or things that you're looking to roll out with, within DeversiFi, or kind of where you're headed?
Yeah. So there's some things that really, really excite me. We really want to make DeversiFi your layer 2 hub. So doing all the stuff that you can do on layer 1 right now, but on layer 2. So over the next couple of weeks, we're making that a reality. So we've already got the aggregated liquidity, very fast order books. You can do all of your trading and swapping in privacy. But getting some more fun tokens onto the platform via the AMM launch will be fantastic. And then also giving people a way of earning yield, whether they're holding DVF on DeversiFi or whether they want to contribute liquidity to some of those AMMs, will be amazing. And then once we've got this buzzing ecosystem with a slightly longer tail of tokens and more interesting things for people to trade, we then want to give people even more ways of earning yield. And that's where we talked a little bit before about that yield section of DeversiFi, where you've got your compound USDT, but really expanding that menu. So there's a lot more things for people to participate in there, whether it be stable coins, ETH, some other assets. That's what we're really looking forward to. We've also got a sort of novel token launch mechanism. So you can launch tokens on layer 2. Perhaps if you're a new project and you would like wide participation, and maybe there's some aspects of the privacy that you like as well. We can also help you launch your token on layer 2, which is really, really cool. And then making DeversiFi sort of the center of your layer 2 ecosystem. So bridges to lots of different places, bridges to centralized exchanges, lots of other chains, that you can really move around with ease without paying gas, without ever having to touch Ethereum layer 1. That's the rough roadmap, and there's tons of stuff coming up, but a lot of it is down to the community as well. So the way we've created the governance is that the community votes on pretty much everything without paying any gas and in a completely trustless way. So it really is up to DVF holders. We're just at the beginning of the journey now. We only just launched the DVF token a couple of weeks ago. So now's a really good time to get involved and start learning about the governance, start learning about the products and what you want to see really on DeversiFi. And we'd love to have you in our Discord and participating and joining us for the ride.
Yes, awesome. Just wanted to touch on one other thing here too, was if you are, maybe you mentioned this already, but if you are LPing on Sushi Swap, are those tokens available for, can you vote with those?
That is a really good question. Are AMM liquidity on layer 1 tokens available for voting? If they're not now, I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that in the future. So let me take that one away and ask the guys.
Yeah, cool. And maybe, I don't know, looking at voting weight as well, because I mean, as they're taking on a little more risk too, that might be something to incentivize as well, to give a little, maybe more voting weight or something. But anyway, something to look at, and I know that's something cool as well. So
that's one of the really cool things to touch on as well, is the ability to combine some of this layer 1 liquidity with layer 2 and vice versa. I don't know, Dan or Conrad, if you wanted to talk a little bit about conditional transfers and composability, just put you on the spot there. But if there's anything in particular you wanted to mention around that, would be a good time to do it.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. There's not much that we can say at the moment, but we're looking into it. It's probably the best I can say. We're looking into it in order to make sure that actually we can participate in as many opportunities as possible from a single place without having to touch L1. We've got some things to announce coming up, but yeah.
Okay, so stay tuned is what I'm hearing. Stay tuned. Yeah. With one other question here, are you going to use any Sushi Tech GPL licensed? Where are you guys at with that?
What was that? Sorry, Sushi Tech GPL license.
Yeah, GPL license. I'm guessing they're talking about like the GPL 3. Is that, or like that's for open source?
Yeah, that's interesting. So we don't use any at the moment, but obviously when it comes to building new things, it's far better to see what others have already built and potentially build on top of that and contribute anything that we've sort of evolved back to the community. The answer is presently no, but again, nothing is impossible in the future. It just depends.
Okay. If there's any last questions here from the audience, please raise your hand or put in the AMA text questions. But otherwise, I don't know, any final things here that you that the team wants to talk about or share or discuss, or things that we should touch on? Oh, also, is there any insurance? I might have missed that. Is there any insurance? I might have missed that.
So insurance is something that we're always actively looking at. We did have insurance when we first launched on mainnet because it was a new product, but we've been operating on mainnet now for 12 months with no issues. I think it's still possible for individuals to take out their own insurance on their DeversiFi deposits if they wanted to. But if insurance is something that is going to become more important as we grow, then we're always happy to explore if that's what the community want. So got good relationships with the likes of Nexus and Unslashed, for example. So we could look at in those routes as well.
Cool. Yeah. So anyways, you just before I kind of put that last one in there. Yeah, if there's any final thoughts here, anything else that you guys want to touch on before we wrap up here?
Yeah, just want to add. Oh no, after you, Dan.
Yeah, I was just going to say one last thing, which is, here we talk a lot about tech and layer twos and how transfers work and proofs and so on. But I would recommend to everyone just to go out and try a layer two. I mean, obviously, ideally DeversiFi, but it's just something that once you try it, you just kind of instantly get the point, and it's just like such a better user experience of using the blockchain that it's incredible. So yeah, I'll just urge everyone to go out and try using a layer two. Rather than getting bogged down in the technicalities of the language.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I'm just going to say, like, I used your platform and, straightforward, simple, like, I mean, took 10 block confirmations for your deposit on ETH. So, I mean, we're used to waiting for, deposits and whatnot anyways. So going to CeFi exchanges and whatnot. So I don't know. Yeah, to me, this was a really cool kind of connection of the two. And yeah, anybody that's coming from that CeFi experience that's not ready to fully embrace what DeFi has to offer now, this is definitely a great bridge. So,
and thank you for your feedback as well earlier on some of the more advanced order types. I think those are definitely already on the roadmap, but it's nice to hear that's something that would be interesting for people who are kind of coming from that CeFi world and are used to some more advanced stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Any kind of take take profit orders and stop limits and all those kind of things. All that stuff is something that a lot of the CeFi people are looking for and would be amazing in DeFi. So yeah, look forward to that as well. So yeah, okay. I think this is a great time to wrap up here. We've covered a ton. Really appreciate everyone coming out and being a part of this. Yeah. That's good from you guys. Anything else that you wanted to mention?
No, just to say a big thank you from us for. Oh, sorry, after you, Euclid.
Oh, I think we were going to say the exact same thing. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming on. It's been a great. I know I didn't say much, but it's been great having you all listen to us. We have a great community in the Discord, so feel free to join in. We're going to start hosting some community events. It'll be great to see you down, asking questions. Whether you're an experienced pro or you're just entering the markets and you're just looking for a bit of help, we're always there to help. And honestly, as Dan said, layer 2 is a lot easier than people make out. It's a very similar experience to other exchanges that you've probably used on DeversiFi, and we're always here to help.
Yeah, awesome. So to find you guys and all of your socials and everything, right onto your website, you have the links for Twitter, Discord, and your blog, I think. So DeversiFi.com, so DeversiFi.com.
I always say with the double-E, guys.
double-E. If somebody can maybe, or do you guys, if you have that text AMA questions or AMA text questions open, maybe yep, there it is. Thank you, Euclid. DeversiFi.com. So there it is, and then all of your socials are available there, so they can make sure that they're connecting to the correct links and get into your Discord and get into Twitter as well. So, touching on the popes here one final time. I saw a bunch of messages coming in here with the P word in there. Anybody that was in the room here for 10 minutes or so, your name has been, or your user ID has been recorded. And we were originally going to put out the system of manual retrieval like we had set up a few weeks ago. We might be changing that to doing something that's more of an interactive bot. So we're just looking at some long-term solutions here rather than continuously just patching this and trying to make this work. So please be patient, everyone, here with the popes. And we're trying our best here. It's just it's challenging when Discord doesn't get back to us for 2 or 3 weeks with all these problems. So stay tuned in the announcements channel in SushiSwap. But that's if you've been in the room and you're wondering about popes, please share with your friends that we have not forgot about you, and you will be available and eligible to get the pope. Okay, this has also been this will also be up and recorded on on the Sushi Swap official YouTube channel. So take a look there if you wanted to catch up on this, or if you missed part of it. And yeah, follow DeversiFi on Twitter and join their Discord. And you can follow me on Twitter as well at 0xtangle and on Twitter. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and yeah, we'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.